And here's the third part and the conclusion. In conclusion, Gulf countries are among the most urbanized countries in the world, given their geography. And compared to their counterparts in the developing world, most Gulf cities have been recently built and they generally provide good quality service to their citizens, to their residents. And I can even say in some cases like Dubai, Doha, Abu Dhabi, they provide world-class service to the citizens. Gulf countries and cities are home to a large population of young people, which is called as the youth bulge. Although economic issues such as unemployment, inflation, lack of appropriate jobs, and lack of housing, etc., appear as the most salient Gulf Arab youth issues, social, educational, cultural, and political issues are also important issues and they shouldn't be ignored. At first look, Gulf cities seem to provide nicely built environments for youth. However, a deeper look reveals that the Gulf youth cannot effectively participate in making decisions about the place they live, the mode and the pace of development that the governments are following. They are basically just exposed to this development and they don't have much say about how it should be done. And that's an issue as we discussed. Hydrocarbon resources have enabled Gulf governments to sustain the current development models and the pace of development. However, Gulf cities have become unsustainable, in my opinion, economically, environmentally, and even socioculturally. And socioculturally meaning people are feeling more alienated because of increasing number of foreign labor and the fast transformations that are happening everywhere in the cities that change the face of the city, even every year. Youth issues are dealt with ineffectively because of capitalist interests and I would say corruption. Although it's not much talked about, there is of course corruption, both within the governments and within the private sector as well, or between these two different sectors. The government and the private sector, the public sector and the private sector. Gulf youth can become more productive and have more meaning in their lives if the rulers build urban areas that cater for the needs, capacities, and aspirations of the youth. Like, I'm not saying that the Gulf youth has to be just like the Western youth, because the geography is different, the culture is different, etc. But I still believe that Gulf youth can become productive, participants in the global youth, I would say global youth movement or the global youth trends. And unfortunately today we don't have much that is produced and that is contributed to the global youth movement or the global youth consumption. Everything comes, unfortunately, from the West. So this can change if necessary plans are made and both physical and professional and personal investments are made for the youth. Otherwise, the youth bulge, as we discussed, can result in unwelcome social, economic, and cultural explosions in the years to come, and we have seen this in Bahrain, partly, and eastern provinces of Saudi Arabia, and even in some parts of Oman. So, Gulf governments need to be fast in doing these investments. Now, I have a few questions here that will allow us to kind of discuss the issues in a little bit more detail. I would suggest you guys read the questions and answer them, but perhaps you could stop here and I will, now read the questions and answer them according to, what I have read. You can stop here and you can answer them and then later look at mine, or you can look at mine first and then continue with yours. So the question one, how do increasing percentage of migrants affect Gulf youth's work opportunities? As we said, increasing percentage of migrants are affecting, at least on the perception level, are affecting negatively the work opportunities of the Gulf youth. Although the immigrants, the ones that I'm talking about are usually white collar jobs. If these people go, I know there's going to be a problem initially, but if Gulf youth are given an appropriate education and given necessary chances, I think they can fill in these positions. And the perception that the immigrants are taking up all of the jobs will kind of start disappearing once white-collar jobs are mostly filled by the Gulf people themselves. I know that it's not possible now at this level to ask them to work as laborers, but at least, you know, things can start from top. How do the development models and dominant modes of urban transformation affect Gulf youth? We already discussed this, and as I said, the fast urban transformation is kind of creating a feeling of disorientation among the youth, as well as other sections of the population in the Gulf. So these development models need to be decided with, I would say, in collaboration with the youth and other stakeholders. The decision shouldn't come only from one committee or one person. It should be the decision of all, how they want to develop, in what they want to invest, and how fast that development and investment has to be. Otherwise, people will feel left out and alienated. What role do Gulf cities play in the current communication, consumption, and entertainment patterns of Gulf youth? Now, when we look at the Gulf cities, the way they are designed, and when I say this in mind, I have Dubai and Doha mostly. They are designed in such a way to promote consumption of Western culture, from movies to, you know, recreational areas, from, you know, restaurants, etc. So I think these patterns needs to be decided in collaboration with the families and the educators of the youth. I'm not in favor of leaving everything to youth, because they will pick the easy one in that case. So the governments, the families, and other stakeholders, as well as the youth, they need to sit down together and they need to agree on, you know, the communication, the modes of communication, the modes of consumption and entertainment, and everything that is happening in their lives. They need to be decided together. And once that is done, the way the city is built, the way the physical environment is built, has to be in line with those decisions. How can Gulf youth become productive participants in the global youth movements? Again, it's not easy for the Gulf youth to become productive participants in the global youth movements overnight. This will take time, and there needs to be lots of sociocultural transformations that needs to take place. But the Gulf governments need to start from somewhere, and I think this is the right time now, especially given the hydrocarbon resources are depleting and the prices are going down. What Saudi Arabia has done with its 2030 vision, although it has lots of gaps, is a starting point, I would say, and this needs to be a good model, perhaps, with lots of modifications, a good model for other countries in the Gulf. The youth needs to be given opportunities, needs to be given a good education where rote memorization, inflated marks are tossed aside, and genuine questioning, critical thinking are taught to students. But this comes with, of course, some political disadvantages as well, and I'm not sure if the governments would be willing to promote such a curriculum, and that's the issue that needs to be probably dealt with. How are democratic values and youth issues in the Gulf related? Can more governance, I'm not saying government, I'm saying governance, solve current problems? As I have been implying from the beginning of my presentation, I believe most of the youth issues in the Gulf are related to lack of democratic institutions and lack of governance. Governance meaning, making decisions and governing a place together in collaboration with all the stakeholders. So if more democratic values, more active participation, and more listening happens, I think most of the issues that the youth feels can be solved, and a better urban environment can be provided to the youth, whereby they can complete their not only physical development, but also mental, professional developments and personal development as well. How sustainable is the social and economic stability in the Gulf? I would think with current modes of development and the pace of development, it's not very sustainable. Economic-wise, we know everything depends on the hydrocarbons. Although Qatar and probably UAE are in a better position, other countries are already feeling the pinch of low oil prices. So there needs to be lots of studies into sustainability. Otherwise, the stability, the social and economic stability will be difficult to maintain in countries like Bahrain, Oman, and Saudi Arabia initially, and later in Kuwait, UAE, and Qatar. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a good discussion. Thanks, everyone. Have a nice day. Bye.